Hello, John.
Hi, Jeremy.
Are you stealing now?
I am, yeah. I've been stealing coats and jackets out of pubs for about 10 years now. I steal about 2 a week.
Coats and jackets from pubs?
Yeah, it's really easy.
Right. Why do you do that?
Well, I lived in London years and years ago, and I bought an expensive jacket, and it got stolen, and I just started stealing back as revenge, sort of.
That's one of the most annoying things. You put your coat down in the pub, it's got your car keys in and everything else, and somebody nicks it.
Yeah.
Do you ever think about that?
Yeah, I do. I mean, the problem is, I came from a very poor background, and it took me a long time to save up, the money for this jacket, and it was it really hit me hard. And the problem has just really got out of control. I mean, I've rented 2 lock-up garages to store them in.
Oh.
I mean, yeah, it's really a problem. The thing is, as well, I've been to doctors and I've tried to get help, but no one will take you seriously. They just...
Well, I take you seriously, very much so. I'm a doctor, and I do take that seriously. I don't like the concepts of revenge stealing. I don't think that 2 wrongs ever make a right.
I know.
And I think it depends. If you go to a doctor, what is it you want, John? I mean, do you want help? Do you want to stop doing this? Or you describe this as being...
I desperately want to stop. I mean, the rent on the 2 lockups is killing me.
Well, so you're getting financial consequences of trying to store the products of your theft. You're getting into trouble. I think that you're going to have to wise up a bit, John. You're going to have to start seeing what you're doing. You're damaging yourself as well as other people.
Yeah,
and if you want to stop doing that,
then... I've actually come up with a really good idea to sort of deal with it as well, because... self-help, I think, is a really good thing. Yeah. What I actually do when I steal them, I've been cataloguing where they came from, the various pubs in the area.
Yeah, well...
And what I'm going to do is, I'm going to start returning them.
Well, that's the way. That's a very good idea.
I'm going to start walking in the pub with 2 jackets on, and I'm going to return
and leave one.
Now, so even though people...
Now you're talking. Now you're beginning to take responsibility for your actions and beginning to make restitution to the people you've harmed.
But have you've got catalogued all of them, or is it just the most recent ones you've stolen?
Every time I got one, I wrote on a piece of paper, like a stick-it note or something, and I put a paper clip on the coat pocket, and I know exactly where it came from and when.
Well, let's see.
What I'm going to do is, I'm going to get a big overcoat, I'm going to start wearing them, and go back in them pubs, leaving them.
John, do it.
Let's see you do it. Let's see you do it, rather than talk about it.
Those people, they're getting the coats back after 10 years of losing them, which will be strange, but ultimately, it'll take me 10 years to get rid of them probably, but I'll feel good about it, maybe.
What's in the pockets? Have you looked? Are the car keys and everything in there?
No.
Wallets?
I never really went through the pockets or anything. I mean, there may be, I don't know, I just took them off and...
Extraordinary.
Yeah, people suggested I sell them on eBay or have a car boot sale, but I don't really want to do that.
No, you mustn't.
I don't want to do that.
Okay, well this is really, we need to find out whether you've actually gone through with this, John, because otherwise you might put the phone down and then decide not to do it, so... Stay on the line, and the editor will take your number, and then we're gonna get you on again in a couple of weeks. How about that?
Yeah, great.
I guess there's a problem with he walks in the pubs and a fight breaks out because they realise he's the guy who stole the jackets.
Well, what's extraordinary is that he hasn't sold the stuff. He's just kept it there.
He's not interested in money here.
He's accumulating it. This is a problem in its own right, that he's getting all the lock-up garages and so on. But really, and he's in more trouble than he thinks he is. He's actually doing something compulsively, repeatedly, and he's been getting damage from it, as well as other people getting damage from it. It's obsessing him.
Also, he's into self-help. Now, it hasn't worked so far.
Well, let's see if, I was saying, let's see if he does it. But I'm fascinated that John was saying it's really easy, and Sheila was saying, oh, I'm really good at it, really good at stealing. Richard was saying he was just rebelling, and also getting the thrill of it. But I'm worried about our society in broader terms, when people can say happily, oh, I'm really good at it.
Yeah.
I'm really good at nicking stuff.
As if it doesn't matter what you're good at.
And then going home and blagging off about it to your friends, saying, yeah, I got a Christmas tree. I'll just walk straight out, brazen. And it's something people are proud of.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for joining us. Robert Lefevre, Director of the Promise Recovery Centre, came in to just lay out the ground for us, which you've done brilliantly, Robert. Thank you. That was John in Yorkshire, who's going to start returning your jacket. If it's the one you lost 5 years ago in the pub, he's going to walk in with it and say, does anyone own this? And you're supposed not to be suspicious. If you were listening on Monday, you'll remember that we heard some incredible accounts from some listeners who admitted that they just can't stop stealing. They're stealing on a regular basis. And maybe the most extraordinary call came from a man called John, and this is what he had to say. John is on the line from Yorkshire, not his real name, but hello, John.
Hi, Jeremy.
Are you stealing now?
I am, yeah. I've been stealing coats and jackets out of pubs for about 10 years now. I steal about 2 a week.
Coats and jackets from pubs.
Yeah, it's really easy.
Right. Why do you do that?
Well, I lived in London years and years ago, and I bought an expensive jacket, and it got stolen, and I just started stealing back as revenge, sort of. I mean, the problem is, I came from a very poor background, and it took me a long time to save up, the money for this jacket, and it was it really, really hit me hard. And the problem has just really, really got out of control. I mean, I've rented 2 lock-up garages to store them in.
Oh!
I mean, yeah, it's really a problem. The thing is as well, I've been to doctors and I've tried to get help, but no one will take you seriously.
Well, John went on to describe how he catalogued all the coats he'd stolen and stored them in those garages. But as a result of coming on the programme, he had a change of heart, and he said he wanted to start returning all the coats to the pubs he'd taken them from. Well, we wanted to see whether John actually went through with this plan or even started on it, so he joins me now. Hello to you.
Hi, good afternoon, Jeremy.
How many coats do you think you've got?
I think there's about 1,000, a rough estimate, yeah, it's about 1,000.
And you have catalogued them meticulously?
Yeah, when I took the first one, I felt so bad, I was physically sick, I went home, I was physically sick, I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep for a week, and I wrote a note, and I stuck it on the jacket of where I got it from and when, and I was going to take it back, but I didn't. But the reason that I didn't was because as the week went by, I had a change of heart, and I wanted to get into the mind of the person that had taken my coat.
Because that's how it started, wasn't it? You had your coat stolen.
Yeah, it was a Belstaff jacket. It was an expensive jacket. It was the only expensive thing I'd ever bought, and I wanted to get into the mind of this person, and I wanted to feel, like the person that took my coat. I wanted to see why and how it worked, and I guess it got out of hand, and I just kept taking more and more. And as well, I guess I was playing the game of averages, thinking if I took enough, eventually I'd take the persons that had taken mine. And also, as well, the day after that I went in the pub, there was a group of people laughing, and they seemed to go quiet when I went past, and I felt really paranoid, and I felt that they were laughing at me. And then everybody looked guilty. Everybody, it was like everybody was in with it, and it just leaves you feeling. I can't describe the feeling, but
so,
that was the events that really sort of set me off on this path.
And you said that if you keep stealing coats, eventually you're going to get the coat of the person who stole yours, which you must know rationally is very, very unlikely. The chances of that are probably the same as winning the lottery.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous to think like that. But I guess it became an obsession. I know inside that it's wrong. I know inside that I'm never going to get the person's coat, and. Can
you describe just this situation that you're in? You've got these 2 rented lock-up garages, and I know one of the reasons you've come to this crisis point is because you can't afford the rent anymore. The rented lock-up garages contain 1,000 stolen coats. What do you do? Do you go and see them occasionally? Do you go in there and have a look at them? Do you catalogue them?
Well, yeah, I go and, sort of visit them, see that everything's okay. I mean, these 2 lockups, the big lockups, the sort of lockups that you could park a Jaguar in, the high. They've got high roofs, and I've got all these racks that I bought from Argos. I mean, the rent on the lockups is £100 a month, and I've had them for over 5 years. So you can imagine it's a lot of money, and it's just got out of hand. The only reason I have 2 is because the chap next door, he was giving his up, and I kind of carried on renting it in his name. So I ended up with 2, and I, shifted the coats that I had from my house to this lockup, and I've got them on racks. They're all covered in plastic, they're all catalogued, they're all immaculate. I've not been through the pockets, I've not done anything with them, I've not tried to sell them. I tried to get help years ago, Jeremy. I went to a doctor because I was so freaked out by it all. I felt so badly. I went to a doctor's to get help, and the doctor told me just to stop stealing. And I said, I've got this problem, and it's making me feel it's ruining my life. I can't cope with it. He asked me how bad it had got, and I told him I'd gone to buy a rope. I'd gone to buy a tow rope because I didn't want to live anymore, Jeremy. It was horrible. And I didn't go through with it, obviously, but the tow rope wasn't a waste of money because my van broke down. Now, I told this to the psychiatrist, and this is how funny the truth is. He told me not to joke about it. And I said, I'm not joking, I'm telling you the truth.
He couldn't see into your head at all.
No, and he wanted to pigeonhole me, and he couldn't pigeonhole me.
Well, listen, John, one of the reasons we wanted to have you on a second time was because it seems like you are at a turning point. So we want to try and encourage you to give these coats back. And I know that since I talked to you on Monday, something has happened. Tell us.
Yeah, well, firstly, I was working somewhere where Radio 2 was on, and I heard your show, and it was like an opportunity to confess. It was an opportunity. I saw this item you were doing as a confessional, so I did. And I just, the weight that was lifted off my shoulders immediately, it just felt, I was buzzing, I was on a high. And I decided to start returning the coats, and that's what I've decided to do, and that's what I've started doing, and that's what I've done. I've taken 5 back since I confessed to you on your show.
Direct to the owners or elsewhere?
I've taken them in the pub, well, in 2 pubs actually. I've taken them in the pubs, I had an overcoat on, I took the coats in, and I deposited them on seats in these pubs.
How did you do that without being seen?
I took my coat off, you know, rested that on a coat. I went to the toilet, I came back, I took another coat off, I put my coat back and walked out. The second pub that I went in to leave a jacket, the doorman came after me, and he grabbed me by the shoulder, and he said to me, "Is this your coat? I think you've left your coat." And I said, "No, I haven't. It was a coat that was on the chair next to me." I really thought that was it. I thought that was it. I thought my number was up and it was all going to come crashing down, but I got away with that. So it's going to be incredibly difficult. But I have decided to take some to charity shops.
But let's say that I'm a coat owner, and I lost my coat 8 years ago in a pub this is when you were just starting to steal them, and I had my wallet in it and my credit cards and so on, and pictures of family and everything else. 8 years on, the coat doesn't fit, the cards have been cancelled, the pictures have been replaced. I'm not going to be that happy about getting the coat back. What I really want is for you to apologise and tell me why you did it. Now, could you approach any of the owners and say, "Listen, it was me, and I'm really sorry"?
You know, I mean, I can say now I am sorry. I'm trying to atone for this thing that I've done, but I'm not comfortable, you know, sort of with meeting someone at this stage. That's a whole other thing.
Do you know who they are, don't you? Because you've got the wallets and stuff, I guess.
Well, I don't know what's in the pockets. I don't know if there are any wallets or keys or anything like that. I've no idea. But I've not gone through the pockets, and that's the truth. But I do know where they came from.
Do you think, John, because obviously you have had this moment where you're kind of confronting what you did, and people listening will appreciate that, but there will be a lot of people who think that the way to really confront it properly is to go to the police and say, "Here are the keys to the lock-up garages with 1,000 coats on and inside them, and I stole them, and let justice take its course."
Well, people will say that, but I don't feel as I want to do that. I want to return them. It will be difficult because I've taken them from, you know, the Isle of Skye, Cardiff, Glasgow, places I've worked. But I'm going to return them. That's what I'm going to do.
All 1,000?
Yeah, well, actually I took a couple in a bar in California, so that might be difficult, but I'll give those to a charity shop.
Thank you very much indeed.
Yeah,
go on, John.
Jeremy, everybody, I think, you know, and I'm not just making a sweeping generalisation, but everybody has many different faces. Everybody has secrets. I've been carrying this for years. And, you know, I bumped into an old friend the other day who said to me, "You just seem so serious." You know, and I guess why I'm so serious is because I've been carrying this thing for years, and I've forgotten how to maybe relax and have a good time. But the John that steals the coats isn't the John that gets up every morning and goes to work and leads a good life and does the right thing. John is a different character, and I just want to. I don't want this other side of me anymore, and I'm trying to put it right as the best way I can, you know.
Well, thanks for being open with us, John, and you've given us a lot to think about, and all the best. Keep returning the coats.